Mishaberach, so you don't have to worry. I'm going to read the names first, so you won't be surprised. Oh, you mean for the Mishaberach?
No, for the toes.
I just do it. Okay, let's do it again. I just do it by hand.
I don't even have to.
They're amazing. It's going to go to their head, but they're... Okay, got the prayer?
I'm unexperienced.
Okay, we can do it. Is yours on yours? Or are you going to have to... Oh, yes. So you know the prayer? You know it. Remember? Remember? Yes, but Baruch Atah.
Where does it go?
It's right there. There's the word Baruch Atah. Asher Hashem Mitzvotav Tzivanu. Okay, and then I'm going to put this touches your neck facing in. So you can decide how thin would you like it. Like your sister did the kind of draped over shoulder, and then some people like the super folded up thin.
Yeah, but
Personal. I'm kind of in between. Yeah. So I know I'm kind of an uneven. Yeah, I know. That's just me. When you guys are ready, I'm going to say something. Okay?
can I go give this to Mother?
Definitely. Here we go.
She's not gonna want it.
Don't mind some of the water. And welcome. It is great to have you here. This is a wonderful attendance. It's Labor Day weekend. Thank you for resting from your labor with us. We know there are others watching at home on this first day of September, which feels so much cooler than the last day of August. Actually, the nights are a little better. Ask my dog. But wonderful to have you here. It is also 2 weeks from Rosh Hashanah exactly. So I brought the little children's book, Rosh Hashanah is Coming, in our book card. It's a wonderful little book about crisp apples and honey and all the wonderful things. But if we made the temple version, we'd say the Yisker book is being prepared and the lifelong learning book is going out and the rabbi is banging his head at a coffee bar trying to come up with an idea. So the temple version of Rosh Hashanah is Coming would be very different. But we are getting there, and it's very exciting, this time of preparation. 2 weeks out for Rosh Hashanah means that next week there are no Friday night services here. I'm saying that not only for you, but all the people watching at home. It is a tradition going back way before me. Thank you, Rabbi Mecklenberger, and to the colleagues who did it with you. The idea was give everybody a bit of a break before the holidays. The challenge is to prepare a guest scholar is probably as much work as writing a sermon the week before Rosh Hashanah. But we have Rabbi Or Zohar coming in. He is the executive director of Spirit of the Galilee, which does mediation work between Israelis and Arabs, Christians, Jews, and Muslims in the Galilee. And we're very grateful to the Federation because we could not have pulled this off ourselves for all of their support. Friday night will be in Colleyville. We will have that streaming link for you next week. Saturday morning will be at Beth Shalom in Arlington. If you've ever wanted to explore those congregations, we will be there. And Saturday night, Rabbi Zohar will be speaking here at 6 with dinner. We want you to RSVP so we know how much dinner to get. And then at 7:30, Slichot, which may very well be the most beautiful service of Rosh Hashanah. It is a service, it's the first time in the sanctuary all summer, and it is a service of preparation so that we move into the last 5 or 6 days very focused on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So that is my shout out to you. If you come here next Friday night, just don't be mad at me. The doors will be locked. Our Kaddish names will be read Friday and Saturday at those other congregations. And Rabbi Mecklenburger will be there. I know he's going to have a part 2 on Saturday. Don't know what the part is. I don't know what my part is, but I know there will be one. So the holidays are coming. The second thing that means is the Lifelong Learning book is out. Thank you, Patty Woods. This is the fastest it's ever been ready. And of course, the middle page is next weekend's event. So this gives you not everything, but 3/4 of what's happening next year. On your way out on the book cart, you can be among the first to get this booklet that has so many sisterhood, brotherhood, classes, social events for the year. Feel free to get it. That's the commercial. It's Shabbat, so we're going to take a break from the commercial. We're going to get ready for the week. We're going to acknowledge that we are in Elul. And Elul is this important time where we do the work of preparation, thinking about how we turn closer to our families, turn closer to our co-workers, look inside. Rosh Hashanah is coming. But we begin with a prayer for healing. John Salve was going to be with us tonight. His mom had a terrible fall, but he tells me that she's going to be okay. She is not with us. He is not with us this Shabbat. That's why. And so we're going to begin with a Mishaberach, with a prayer for healing for her and all who are in need of healing this Elul. And so we mention the names of Harriet Bresser, Paula Cooper Salve, Charlotte Fiwas, Allison Getz, Christopher Long, Judy Cohen, Robert Klein, Idalis Rivera, Anita Kabuti, Jeannie Rosenblum, William Westerman, Ann Westerman, Lisa Bond, Barbara Leffer, Susie Kornblit, Carol Ruth Brooksaler Alcock, Peter Levy, Benjamin Rosser, Gordon Brody, Lee Anspach, and any other names you might like to add.
Mike Oden, Kylie Oden, Tyler Oden.
If you need the words on page 371, may God, who brought strength to our ancestors in times of need, bring strength to all of us who need healing, both those who are physically ill, those who are mentally or spiritually ill. May they be returned to strength in time.
Mishabera avotenu mikor habraha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishabera imotenu mikor habraha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
It is a pleasure to have Cayden and Chloe Koon on the Bima this Shabbat. Lots of bar and bar mitzvah students who practice with us, and you've seen them, who lead to warm up a few weeks before, say, oh, Rabbi, I'll definitely do this again with you. and maybe they changed their mind, or they didn't quite mean it, or they just wanted to get through their bar mitzvah. But most of them by 8th or 9th grade go, nah, I don't know. And what's wonderful is not only the beautiful voices and wonderful poise, but they keep saying yes. And I am so grateful. I just really enjoy being with them. They are models, along with some of our other young people, of what we hope for, which is people who can lead us in worship and be teachers. And so I am very, very appreciative. They gave up not one, but 2 summer Friday nights. I think, was last one Memorial Day? I think they like those 4-day weekends, 3 days. So Memorial Day and Labor Day. So just a pleasure. Turn to your neighbor, friend, and wish them a Shabbat Shalom. And then I'll mention candles, so you will know when you're ready to come back. Before we turn to the lighting of Shabbat candles, I want to take a moment to talk with you to get ready for this time, because I want us to think for a moment about Elul. I've been thinking about it for a few weeks. I've been thinking and worrying more about sermons, but that's not really what Elul is about. I want to talk a moment to kind of think through what it means to make space. Now, what do I mean? What does it mean to make space? We've all been in this conversation. We've all been in this position. So, I'm going to use the word rabbi. It happens to rabbis, but you could submit doctor. You could submit a spouse's name. You could submit your grown child's name. And what they say to you is, Rabbi, we need to have a conversation. Now, there are 3 ways that's said. Sometimes they just say, Rabbi, we need to have a conversation. So you're not sure what's happening next. Sometimes they say, Rabbi, we need to have a conversation. Sometimes they say, Rabbi, we need to have a conversation. The tone in their voice could be angry, desperate, bland. And if you're a human being on this planet, your mind begins spinning. Are they angry? Are they upset? Is it something I did? Am I in trouble? Oh my gosh, I don't know. What is this about? Could it be about what I said last week? Could it be about the email? Could it be about the temple? I don't know. Texting is even worse, or emailing, because there is no voice. Rabbi, we need to have a conversation. Oh no, and suddenly we're all in 3rd grade again, or have our mother staring at us. The problem is, someone's missing up until this point. Now, who's missing? The person who wrote you is missing. And so in our brain is every kind of permutation. Is this person angry? Is this person sad? What did I do? And then we realize we're supposed to be having a conversation. How often I meet with people, and my first reaction, it's Elul, so I'm being honest, is, I'm not in trouble. Okay, what's on your mind? I don't say that out loud, but you can see the relief. A conversation requires space. Space for the other person. How do we make space? We see in our families, we see in our country so often now that people say, we need to have a conversation. But they don't really mean we need to have a conversation. They mean, we need to have a talk, which is different than a conversation. We've all been there, right? We were all kids at some point. We need to have a conversation. How do we make the space for the lost art of conversation? Well, my favorite midah, my favorite character trait, because it is so much work and it's so important, is anavah. And anavah is humility. Humility is about recognizing we're not as great and we're not as small as we think. Perhaps the greatest teacher, in my opinion and others, of anavah is Rabbi Simcha Bunim. Rabbi Simcha Bunim taught, and this has been used by so many rabbis so many times, but I love it, that we should have, especially during this time of Elul, 2 notes, 2 pieces of paper. And one of those pieces of paper should be in each of our pockets. And in one pocket it should say, for me the world was created. And in the other pocket, we should have a piece of paper that says, I am but dust and ashes. And one note will remind us of how sacred and special we are. And the other note will remind us to be humble when we have an exaggerated measure of self-worth. I am everything, I am nothing. We know the dangers of someone who doesn't think they're worth anything. We know the dangers of being with people who think they're God's gift to everybody. And we know the dangers of when the people who think they're God's gift to everybody either marry or work with someone who doesn't think they're nothing. How do we make that space to adjust, that awareness of who we are? And for those of us who experience both, most of us who are relatively healthy wake up one day and say, I am God's gift to the world. And the next day we wake up and say we're worthless. And so the question Simcha Bunim asks us is, not just should we have these pieces of paper in our pockets, but which piece of paper do we choose? On which day? A tiny bit of background on Rabbi Simcha Bunim, who lived from the 1760s until 1827, spent his life in Poland, was the son of a rabbi. He married the daughter of a rabbi, a lot of rabbis in the family, and was sent to study with Rabbi Yaakov Yitzchak Horitz, who was called the Seer of Lublin. So the Seer of Lublin, pretty prominent rabbi. While he was there, he was told to study with the student of Rabbi Yitzchak, Rabbi Yaakov Yitzchak Rabinowitz, who is known by his name, the Yid HaKodesh, which is a wonderful name because, see, some of us are getting it, because Yid is like Jew, but Yid is used now like, you're a Yid, you're a Yid. It carries a connotation. So the idea of like the greatest Yid is, at least two of us are smiling. Okay, it's a very funny title. I don't think now, someone came up and said, Rabbi Zimmerman, you are the Yid you are the Yid HaKodesh. I don't know how I would take that. I'd have to back off a little and think about that. But there was this great rabbi, and these two rabbis, who were his teachers, came from very different Hasidic perspectives. Rabbi Yaakov Yitzchak Horowitz was known as uncompromising, a stern leader who said the Rebbe is the model. If you have a Hasidic Rebbe, I'll do this the way he would. You do what he says. He's the Rebbe. That's it. His disciple, his student, Rabbi Yaakov Yitzchak Rabinowitz, broke away from him quite publicly because he said the student must be empowered. If the Rebbe knows all, how will the student discover their own identity and grow to be a responsible, mature Jew? So Simcha Bunim learns from these two extremes, including a breakaway in the Hasidic movement, including a period where Simcha Bunim is not at a wedding and his students fight with other rabbis so he won't be excommunicated. See, and you thought all Hasidic rabbis got along. These are these two figures he grows up with. That is important because it helps us understand the struggle he sees between the one rabbi who says there's one truth and it comes from me, and the other rabbi who says every person must own and make their own decisions on their path to enlightenment. Obviously, I'm summarizing a great deal of legal and mystical teachings from Rabbi Simcha Bunim. So he gives us this thing. We have to have these two pockets. We have to have these notes in our pockets, and we have to know what to take. We know the danger of taking too much space or not making enough space. And how do we even do that? But I would suggest to you that anava, humility, may be the greatest of all the midot, because it's the one we're all in need of. Humility is almost doing a little 360. It's almost stepping outside of yourself. It's almost saying I'm having a difference, an argument, a perspective, and I need to understand the other person. Alan Moranis, one of the great modern teachers who popularized the Musar, the character trait movement, in his book Everyday Holiness asks, do you express humility by limiting yourself to taking up just the appropriate space while leaving room for others? Now he asks us, here's a good exercise, because you're saying the rabbis, I don't know what he's talking about. Here's a concrete way to think about it. He says, Alan Moranis, the next time you sit on a bench, watch how much of the bench you occupy. There's no need to cringe on the end because you're entitled to sit on the bench. You should sit on the bench. But there's no justification for sprawling into a space that ought to accommodate someone else. Or when someone shares a piece of news with you, does your head go right back to your own concerns, filling the mental space they've opened? Or do you make room to follow up with the person who has introduced? One Musar student reported to him on her insights in this area and how they changed her behavior. Now, she says, when friends, family, and associates tell me their troubles, I no longer rush in with my brilliant advice or suggestions on how to solve their problems. My capacity for self-restraint has developed, and I no longer feel the need to worry about how I'm looking smart, or if I'm looking good enough, or if I'm looking wise enough. Alan Moranis says, understanding that her behavior was meant to gratify her own needs at the expense of caring for the one in need, she said, I'm now willing to take up less space in the domain. How much space do we take up? It's a hard one, isn't it? Anyone who's ever had a job where they were trying to be sensitive and the other person barreled into the room and then there was no room. Or you're trying to get someone to share feedback and they're much more restrained and you're pulling them. I don't even have to talk about it in a family or in a marriage or with relatives. We all take up space. Somewhere between the world was created for my sake and I am but dust and ashes. Part of the preparation for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur for every one of us is to try to figure out where we need to recalibrate, how much space we take up on that bench we're sitting. Can we give breathing room to others? Can we become aware of our blind spots? We know what blind spots are. Certain personalities, certain people, they trigger reactions within us. They threaten us, sometimes legitimately. But then it takes that extra space to say, wait a minute, maybe this person isn't a sociopath. Now, maybe they are, be careful. But maybe the person who's threatening your space is an sociopath. Maybe they're traumatized. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they've been wounded. Maybe they're not sure how to respond to you. It's very, very hard to open up that level of trust. And so when the rabbi sits there and you say, I don't know what he's talking about, if nothing else, think the following. Anava, should I practice my humility in the next few weeks? Should I think about how much space I'm taking when I sit on a bench? You have every right to be there. You don't have a right to lie down and exclude everybody else. And when I'm feeling at my lowest and most worthless, the world was created for my sake. And when I'm feeling that I am the greatest thing and you just don't get it, it's time to say, I am but dust and ashes. Some work for all of us as we prepare for the High Holy Day season, as we come to Slichot next week. So we turn to page 120. We look to the lighting of Shabbat candles. I think we've got Mom and Grandma coming up to help, to lead us we've got a full representation today. Page 120 is the lighting of Shabbat candles.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Amen. Let's read together. The bottom of 121. O source of light and truth, creator of eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live,
we shall speak.
Into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Amen. Amen. We turn to page 142. We welcome Shabbat into our midst as we sing together. Page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShabbat, Malachei Elyon, Mi-Melech, Malachei Allah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachim L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Mi-Melech, Malachei Allah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Ni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi-Melech, Malachei Allah, HaKadosh Baruch. Seidchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi-Melech, Malachei Halachi, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Page 144.
Yitkada veyitkadash Shmei Rabbah Be'alma divrach erutei v'yamlich machutei B'chai echon u'yom echon Uv'hayedecho Beit Yisrael Ba'agala Uv'izman karib. Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mefarah Le'olam Le'amaya Yitbarah Ve'yishtabah V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh Ve'yitadar Ve'yitaleh Ve'yitalal Shemei L'kudsha Urichu Leila min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nehemata damiran be'alma v'yimeru. Amen.
We turn to page 146. We rise for the Baruch Hu. We remain standing through Shema.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom our praise is due, and forever. Page 148 together in English. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, hamarim ahavat olam, Bet Yisrael, amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadet, al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu, uvkumenu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayeinu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla, v'yavad ha'al tasir, mimenu li'olamim, baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
We continue on the next page. Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kadoshim le'Eloheihem ani Adonai Eloheihem asher hotzeiti ethem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lahem le'Elohim ani Adonai Eloheihem.
Page 157 together. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we are taught. Before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 158.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot, o seifele, Nora tehilot, o seifele Adonai. Behara uvanecha, Okei ayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'eli anu ve'amru, Ze'eli anu ve'amru, Adonai imlo le'olam va'ed. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot, osei fe'ele, Nora tehilot, osei fe'ele, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed.
Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, leshalom, lehamidenu shomreinu lechayim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen.
Page 161 together. Let there be love and understanding among us.
Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Page 164, we begin together, and then we continue silently on our own, standing, seated, Hebrew, English, or just enjoying the last time this season to be surrounded by this beautiful outdoor garden from the indoor sacredness of air conditioning. Page 164.
Adonai Levitai tifta ufia gitehilateha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imachot, U'mevi Geula livnei bneihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Oser u'Mashiach u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mehayeh hakol atah Rav le'oshia. Mekalkel hayim bechesed, Mehayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim ve'rofei holim, Umatir asurim, Mehayim emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamo habal gevurot, Umidom elach, Melech memid umechaye, Umatzmiya Yeshua. V'ne'eman atah lechayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mehayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim bechol yom yehallelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el hakadosh.
Please continue on your own, however you wish. Achad sha'alti me'et Adonai oto avakesh. O God, one thing I ask of you, that I may dwell in your house, that I may return to you and feel your presence in my life as we approach this time of inward turning of tshuva. Elohai nitzor l'shoni me'ra usvatai medaber mirma. O God, guard my speech from evil and my lips from deceit. Before those who slander me, I will hold my tongue. I will practice humility. Open my heart to your Torah, that I may pursue your mitzvot. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'yakol Yisrael, ve'yakol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Rosh Tevel V'imru Amen.
We turn to page 586. We rise for Aleinu as we face the open ark.
Velo samanuk mishpachot ha'adama Shelo sam chelkeinu kahem V'gor aleinu kecho hamonam V'anachnu gorim U'mishtachavim u'modim L'fnei melech Malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Please be seated. We turn to page 598. Before we mention this week's names for Kaddish, a reminder that while we have a minyan that meets every Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. and reads the actual names that are being marked that day on our Kaddish list, there will be no minyan this Monday as the building will be locked. Tuesday we will read the names that would have been Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So please do come join us from 6 to 6:20 any of those days to say Kaddish or to offer to support to those who are remembering. Tonight's reading is by Kevin Johnson. It is not found in your prayer book. It is especially appropriate to this time of year. Oh God, I have been in such dark places that a flashlight was useless. I have felt fear that no words could comfort me. I seemed lost, and yet, through your compassion and loving kindness, I am now here. And so I say, even at this time of grief, blessed are you, the guardian of all, who carries me to a safe place. On this Shabbat, we mention in this period of Shloshim, this 30-day period of mourning, Theodore Ted Mack, Cheryl Feinberg, Harold Pacey Laves. In addition, we mention the yard sites, and if you're comfortable doing so, you can feel free to rise when the name of one you are remembering is mentioned. Melvin Blumberg, Walter A. Bressert, David McLaurin Campbell, Jim Corder, Isidore Davidson, Ira Diamond, Margaret Dinklage, Sarah Drabkin-Ellman, Anna Evans, Mark G. Feinkopf, Maisie Friedman, Murray N. Friedman, Lenore Sweetie Goldstone, Sadie Kardosh, Harry Jacob Klein, Erwin Krause, Tilly Levine, Sidney Alton Rashti, Ferdinand Rivera Jr., Joel Rosen, Sally Rosenblum, Eleanor F. Rosenthal, Madeline Sankery Samuels, Joseph Strassman, Sam Taub, Nathan Updegraft, Osana Wallen, and Nat E. Winston. We all rise and turn to page 598 to offer support for all those who are in mourning, here, at home, wherever they may be remembering. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, Bialma divrach irute v'yamlich malchute, b'chaye chon v'yomei chon, b'chaye d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'galal v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehe shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitdar v'yitala shmeid kudsha barichu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiram b'yamal v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing as long as we remember. And we say, amen. Please be seated. As we turn to our closing song, I want to thank Cayden and Chloe. Thank you. I want to just point out that Shayna Koon is on the bima, one of our vice presidents, and of course Robert Simon, our president, who is here with us and at every service, and will be giving a sermon on Rosh Hashanah morning. So I hope you don't need extra incentive, but if you do, you should come to all the services, but come to Rosh Hashanah morning where he can share some of his thoughts on Judaism and on the importance of this time and on his presidency. So we're glad to have him here. If you're visiting and you're not sure who to say hello to, here are great people to say hello to on your way out. Not that we're all friendly. And of course, a reminder again, that services, Slichot is here next Saturday night. There are no services here next Friday night or Saturday. If you would like to join with other community members in Arlington and Colleyville, it's a wonderful opportunity to share and to meet other members of our sister Reformed Jewish communities. Also a reminder that the Lifelong Learning book is ready and in the back on the book rack. Take one with you and find out what is going on in our temple this year. And if you are coming to Slichot, there is no fee, but Arlington provides a kiddush lunch. We provide a dinner. It will help if you RSVP, because we know the scariest thing in Judaism is running out of food. Don't put us in that situation. Okay, some people knew. I didn't have to deliver the punchline. So we're going to turn to our closing song, page 626. We don't have a piano, we don't have an organ tonight, but I know you can hear it in your mind. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kamoshienu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kamoshienu. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. We turn to page 123 for the blessing over wine. And if we have other helpers, I know we've got Chloe and Cayden are going to help us, but I know that we have other helpers. And there are Kiddush cups, and you are always, right? Oh, it's wrapped, so there we go. So you are always our challah helper. I'm going to give you the challah tray. I'm going to attempt to, okay, you can unwrap it. Very nice. Thank you for doing your job. Hey, you'll help with the challah too. But if you want a glass of wine, juice. And it was just an accident. It's juice. Okay. Anybody want a glass of juice?
I mean, sure, why not?
Sure.
I'm pretty sure this is wine.
You want the wine?
Sweet. Smells like a sweet wine. I can't promise it. I hope so. We join together. Nope. Excuse me.
Baruch atah
Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzav banu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava uratzon, in hilanu. ata Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Oh, Brother Mosey.
That too.
Yeah, I'm glad I have some people watching me here. I'm so sorry. Let's take it away.
Adonai